scripture reading from tonight is from the book of Hebrews. Let mutual love continue. Oh. Let mutual love continue. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing that, some have entertained angels without knowing it. Remember those who are in prison, as though you were in prison with them, those who are being tortured, as though you yourselves were being tortured.
Thank you, Phil. Beautifully read, considering I forgot to do a Bible reading and put it in at 2 minutes to 6. So that was great. As you can see, everyone, there's some colour and movement, so it's very exciting. So it's not my voice mostly tonight. We're going to hear from some friends up here. It's the last month in our Big Year series on Be Hospitable. So we wanted to just take the opportunity to hear from some people in our church who are quite hospitable, and hopefully they can shed some light on ways that we can be more hospitable and understand this topic of hospitality a little bit more. So looking forward to this. I don't need the clicker. If I touch that, we're going to have more disasters. It's obviously possessed tonight, so not a good thing. So we have 3 fabulous women with us tonight who are going to talk to us about hospitality. So I might get them very quickly to introduce themselves, but we'll start with Christine in the red. Hi, Christine. You want to tell us a bit about who you are?
Hi, Christine.
Yes, hi, Christine is my name, and I think I pretty much know everybody, and if I don't, I'd love to get to know you. And I get the pleasure of being on the board of this church, which I very much enjoy.
Thank you. And then we have...
My name's Josie. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Josie.
What was the second half? Introduce yourself and...
No, it was just introduce yourself.
Oh, just introduce... Okay, sorry.
Who are you? What do you do?
Who am I? What do I do? I creatively exist in a world that's hectic. Yeah.
That's profound. And then we have lovely Hendrika.
Hi, I'm Hendrik. Is this on? Okay. Hi, I'm Hendrika. Those of you who probably know me, I eat a lot. I'm a pro-rank competitive eater in Australia, and also a horticulturist that loves orchids. So yeah.
Beautiful. I'm not convinced that's working.
No. See? That's why I can't hear myself.
At the risk of, just keep talking, Hendrika, until some noise comes out.
Hi. Is it working?
Sort of. Getting there.
Okay.
Can you compare?
There we go.
Hold on,
Beautiful.
that's me. You're going to say testing.
Hello. Yes.
Yeah.
Is it working?
Tidak kerja.
Never mind, I'm very loud. Okay.
All right, we can do some sharing. We're just going to start off by asking you lovely people, I might start with Christine, what does being hospitable mean to you? Like, what do you understand about that?
Well, I think a good place to start is thinking about someone else and being kind. So just take some time to consider how you might be able to interact with someone else in a friendly way.
Oh, up to me. Okay, I did write this down. There were 2 definitions I came up with. The first one was to make space for, whether that's physical space or emotional space or mental space. And the best kind of space you can make for someone is judgment-free curiosity, in my opinion. The other is to attend or attention, which is interesting for those of us with ADHD, but to willingly and joyfully give attention to.
That's beautiful. Hendrika.
Well, mine is basically just like befriend. The word befriend is an extent, honest, and yeah, like trying to build a connection with someone. That to me is hospitable.
Beautiful.
Okay.
I think you've kind of already touched on this a bit, but if we have a very, very narrow definition, being hospitable means I will cook a meal for someone and have them at my table in my house. That's probably a bit too narrow. Can you tell us, you've already flagged that it can be more than that. Can you tell us how being hospitable is more than just that?
Go, Christine.
Okay. Well, I think being hospitable can also be something that we do every day, and we don't have to even know the person to show hospitality. And a few ideas I have is letting someone go ahead of you at the checkout line. If you've got a big trolley and someone's got 3 things, you know, stand back and let someone go ahead of you. I think that's a way. Another way could be helping a parent with the baby in a pram in or out of the train door, you know, getting in and off the train. I think that would be really welcomed because it's quite difficult manoeuvring up and down, you know, mind the gap. And also, there's times where people have got mobility issues, like if they're on a walking stick or crutches or wheelchairs. I think walking slowly around people with such issues could be considered hospitable, because in our rush, you know, it's easy to knock someone over, but, you know, taking time to just pass someone gently, you know, with taking care in that regard. Helping people with directions. Do you ever get asked directions? We were just away and didn't know where we were, and we got stopped several times to find out where to go, you know, the directions of where to go. And I think that can also be warmly received too.
Practically for me, I'm a story-driven person. My housemate, Howsy Jess, up the back, we were having a discussion about accessibility in wheelchairs when we first met, because I'm an intensely curious, sometimes to the point of obnoxiousness, person, and I asked her why she had her chair and so on and so forth. And I'm like, oh, what annoys you about being in the chair? She's like, well, it's not the chair itself. Sometimes it's the people and how they treat the chair, or not being heard when someone's very kindly offered help and I've said no thank you, but people pushing in. So, like, I love all the things you've suggested, but it's also, to me, it's authentically listening to that another person's needs, wants, in a way that's, again, judgment-free. And that's the hardest way to do that, is with people who really frustrate you. So in my opinion, the more someone frustrates you and the more you reserve judgment, the more hospitable you are.
Thank you. Hendrika?
Honestly, for me, 2 words: let's eat.
Amen.
Absolutely. And that obviously makes sense to a lot of us. But I liked what you were saying, Josie, about, I guess, the first door into it is to put ourselves in somebody else's position, in their chair, in their shoes, in their whatever it is that's going on.
Can confirm that is a very fun chair.
Okay. You've been in it?
I have, after asking permission, of course, with consent.
Do you think that helped you to be more understanding of what it's like for Jess or for other people?
Absolutely. I remember, I think this was at the first camp. This is where we became really good mates. I asked if I could have a go on the chair, and she's like, oh, yeah, I suppose you're not going to, you know, hoon around in it. And I'm like, no, I want to see what ways it could be improved and what it's like for you. And it has a really good turning ability, but it had this really interesting little stop motion that when it jolted forward, I'm like, that's not good for someone like you who has interesting needs around joints and stability and a bunch of other things. She's like, yeah, it's one of the most annoying things about my chair, and you're one of the first people to recognise that because you're actually sitting in it. So I think that's the deeper part of hospitality, but it starts with the small things like looking out for someone else to then connect. So, yeah.
Beautiful. I wonder, maybe you could start this time, Hendrika, but like, why do you think that it is important for us to be hospitable? Why is it a good or helpful thing?
Being hospitable, basically bridge gaps. For me, you got to find the so-called the bridge sometimes to connect with people. I mean, everyone has different likes and dislikes and stuff like that. So, for me, I see it as bridge building, like, you know, what bridge, what topic and what not. Then you find a common topic and then you become friends, and then after that, try and see whether you can grow that friendship. For me, it's always hospitable. It's much about friendship. So, and finding common connections besides food.
So mostly it's food, but there are other ways to connect people and make them...
Yeah, of course. It could be culture. But you see, food is a very good common denominator because everybody eats, right? And food is so diverse. So everyone has different backgrounds and cultures, and there is always a common point of discussion, like, what did you eat growing up, and, what culture you're from, and what's the most yucky thing you've eaten, and do you like durian? Yeah.
So for those of you who are interested in chili, I can guarantee that Hendrika has some chilies in her bag to sample and to share. So if that's a point of connection for you, then go and hit Hendrika up afterwards. Am I correct? You've got some chilies on you? Today, no. Normally. Oh, well, next time, if you want to connect with Hendrika over chilies, there you go.
Or any talk of food. She's great to talk food.
Absolutely. Why is it important, JC?
I think it's not a spoiler alert for camp next week, but I had a chat to Sophie, who's one of our fabulous camp people who are running it. It's how else do we show people who Jesus is? Like it's the walk to the talk. That's why being hospitable is important, in my opinion. If we're reaching out to connect or to do acts of service for people we don't know or to deepen a friendship, like it's the tangibility of following Jesus. Like, it's the stuff people see.
I got a phone call and I had to quickly get back to my place because unexpectedly there was a loved one in hospital, so I needed to be there. And I was going to catch an Uber to get back because I didn't have my car with me. And a friend, and not a really buddy friend, but a friend said to me, cancel the Uber, let me drive you. I really want to drive you. You need to be there. And that has, been very significant to me. Yeah, it was lovely.
I have probably two moments. One's a pretty short one. Raise your hand if you're a teacher. Yeah, raise your hand if you're always exhausted and never want to do playground duty. Yeah. At my first school, which I was at for about 5 years, is maybe my third year of full-time teaching. As anyone who's ever met a full-time teacher, exhaustion is part and parcel for a lot of us. My friend Emily, who just as busy as I was, also a single parent, saw me one day around this time, maybe 8 years ago. So mid-term, end of term 3, really hectic, lots going on. And she came in to ask how I was, and I just looked at her. I'm like, yeah. She's like, you got playground duty in the second half of this lunch? I'm like, yeah, I do. She's like, leave it with me. Didn't even have to say anything. She just took her hat and just went out and did it in a way that intuited what I needed in a moment of, I guess, that's the word I'm looking for. Not just vulnerability, but really graciousness on her behalf. That was one really, I think, profound moment for me. The other was, some of you know, I used to be married to a man. He's a splendid individual. And he came to me one day, we were attending a church of excellent individuals down at Logan, and he's like, Josie, I think we should give Agatha our car. And I'm like, excuse me? He's like, are you, like, any particular reason why? Like, where's this coming? Like, just out of the blue. He's just home from church one day, and he's like, yep, we need to give Agatha our car. And I'm like, that's a whole vehicle that we've paid money for and saved and helps us get around. And, yep, can I pray about it? He's like, of course. Wouldn't expect anything less. But he's like, I've had a solid think, I've had a solid pray, I've talked to Agatha and I've seen her need. And this was an individual who, to give to her community and to attend our church, would travel up from the Gold Coast to Logan on the train on a Sunday and then probably wouldn't get back there until late Sunday evening. So part of it was around safety. The other part was around just to make her life so much easier. Matthew saw something that was a privilege in our life, yes, but it's not something we desperately needed. It's something we worked around. We could work around. We've done before. We'd had one car. It wasn't, at the end of the world or anything. And him to come to me in this honest moment of, yes, we're going to give away this vehicle. That is something he felt very convicted by. And after not very long, actually, I felt, yep, actually that is something we can do. But that was a profound moment for me, seeing that from him as an act of both generosity and seeing that her need was greater than ours.
Beautiful.
Honestly, I was thinking like you meant other people showing me hospitality.
Either or, doesn't matter.
Again, for me, it's always like when people feel, I don't know whether it's a hospitable thing, but for me, because I grow vegetables as part of my work, and I like to share my vegetables with my neighbor. Love thy neighbor, feed your neighbors. And then guess what? They feed me back. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I'm very tired to cook tonight. And then I get a call from my neighbor downstairs. She's like, hey, come get food. I'll be this big bowl of noodles, big tray, not small, because they know I eat a lot. So, yeah. So sometimes, yeah, because basically sometimes during my work, I harvest so much produce that I give it away, and sometimes too much, and I take it home and I give it away some more. So yeah. Simple.
Give, get. It's a cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know, Hendrika is basically the one who sort of coordinates and leads. We have a foodie group that once a month go to different restaurants after church on Sunday night. And there's some beautiful stories of connection and friendship that have happened out of that group. So that's really exciting. If you're interested in having some fantastic food and some company after church on Sunday once a month, come and say hello to Hendrika. She'll be very happy to connect you with the group. I wonder, Hendrika, because you're not a boring white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Australian, can you tell us anything about what it's like for you being in different cultures? Because you've lived in many places, you speak many languages. I'm interested about what hospitality looks like that we might do well and maybe not do so well. Okay,
the frank part of it is, I'll tell you what initially didn't do so well was when I first joined in 2017. I found it hard to make connections because at that point, I just couldn't. But I knew God led me to hear quite literally. But I was like, maybe one person. I know where's Scott? Scott's not here. But Scott was the first person that I really connected with because he spoke Indonesian to me. And then you. It's like, to me that language also was a connection that bridged the gap for me to do more. And then, later on, I got to know more people. But how I really got to know more people was when we were cooking supper. I was serving food, and I think Tracy remembered those times. Yeah, the whole table full of food. And that really brought me also to connect people. Because people ask me, oh, how do you eat this? What does it taste like? And all the questions came up. And then after that, that's how, for me, the connection, clicked. Yeah, and then another part that I sometimes see, it is not just here, but I think every church that I have been involved with is the click. It's a bit, sometimes we need to try and break out our shell or try and connect with more people. I mean, we are friends we haven't seen for a long time and things like that. But sometimes we just have to reach out. So for me, I make it a point to try and reach out to new people I haven't seen, especially if they are Asian culture. Maybe because we speak the same language, dialect, that help bridge the gap. Yeah.
We do like to say that our church, one of our defining sort of values is radical inclusion, but that involves being active, doesn't it? I think I'm hearing that from everyone. We can't just be passive and someone will go and talk to that person. Like, it is a bit of a charge on us. If we want to be hospitable, we actually have to be proactive sometimes and take a step over a bridge, and we might sink sometimes, but most of the time when someone's there to grab us, but I think that's a good message for all of us. I wonder, maybe just as a last kind of question, is what can any of you, what have you learnt about hospitality from the life and teaching of Jesus or other people in the Bible? How has that kind of shaped your understanding of hospitality?
The story that came to mind was the Last Supper, Jesus sat with his disciples at the Last Supper. He wanted to spend that time with his friends. And that invitation is still there for us today as each week we have a communion. So I think that lesson there is sitting together with family and friends is very important. And Jesus gave us the example of how to do that. So,
Thank you.
I think the same story where Jesus washes the disciples' feet. It's this, not just I'm having a good time with my mates, but I'm actively attending their needs and serving them. Attending to a stranger's needs in ways that you can feel safe to do so. I know for a lot of individuals, it's hard to feel safe in a group of people that you don't know. That's really difficult. When you do feel safe enough to reach out to someone, that's also a big risk, because what if they don't like you, heaven forbid? Or what if you're awkward? So I think or what if you don't speak their language? Or what if you don't connect? There's all these what ifs. I think the best piece of advice I have around hospitality is, like Hendrika said, finding that common ground, but to gracefully allow yourself the, I guess, idea that the verb that came to mind is called sonder, and it means the realization that each random passerby, friend, family member, person close to you, person far away from you, they're living a life as vivid and complex as you are. So recognizing that for yourself. Sometimes you might need to show hospitality to yourself and go, well, if I were to welcome myself into my home, what would I be expected of welcoming myself as a guest, if there's a guest entering? Oh yes, I'm going to clean because future Josie's going to come through the door. Or I'm going to clean, or I'm going to do this thing for future me. And then showing yourself that grace can then help show that to others. And I think that's often through a reservation of judgment and just general curiosity. So particularly for people who frustrate me. So traffic is the best example. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Who has reached for the horn? Yeah? Yes, thank you, Will. Men of honesty. Amazing. Someone speeds past you, who starts shifting down a gear and you're revving. And we have this incredibly intuitive notion to react. But if we pause and go, maybe that person has an emergency. If I was in an emergency, I'd want to be not honked at, okay? And even if they don't, even if they are just a butthead who, and if they've actively, cut you off and didn't see you, you do need to honk, that's the law. But the pause of a moment of reserving judgment and realising, yep, their life is just as complex as mine. I've been in times where I've needed to be the butthead who pulled in. I can then pay that forward to them. So in the little ways, I think, is one way you can be more hospitable.
I think I've been thinking about this. Thank you for giving me a lot of time to think about it. Love thy neighbor. When someone is in need, again, Jesus said, feed my lambs. So I take that quite literally. And also the Good Samaritan. I think, to me, these are things that, for me, hospitality is shown, and what Jesus has done that connects to me for being hospitable. I do that act of service according to this that connects with me best. So yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm going to try and sonder this week. I will be making an effort to that. Would you thank these lovely ladies for their contribution tonight? And chat more with them at dinner when we're having tea and coffee, when we're being actively hospitable.